Yeah, good evening, guys. Welcome to session 4. Okay, let's wait couple of more minutes. Let other friends joining, then get started. In meantime, do you have any clarification doubt? Okay, you can post in chat or you can talk to me. Okay, anything fine. Okay, Jay Surya. My understanding AWS is just for deployments purposefully. Not really, Jay Surya. The whole development, right? As a full stack developer, your end-to-end development should be done with AWS. Okay, one of the example is, let's say you are using database, right? Now, when it comes to AWS, you can use DynamoDB. One of the example, right? And you may deploy in Heroku or Netlify server for deployment. Here you are using EC2 or Lambda, right, for deployment. And whatever the CI/CD, that also you can achieve using the AWS. So everything can be done, right, as part of your development. So it's not really you are going only for deployment to AWS, not only deployment, it can be done everything as part of your development. Okay. Yeah, Prabhakar, you can actually send to everyone. You don't need to put a direct message, because let others also know the questions. Please put it in. Put your message for everyone. Okay. S3 stores front end part, Lambda store backend data, and DynamoDB sequence is correct. Yes. So yeah, most likely front end part we can put it in S3, images, CSS, videos, everything. Lambda anyway for processing, right? Processing and logic, you're doing the logic, business logic, everything you can do it in Lambda. And DynamoDB, Lambda can be connected to DynamoDB for persist your data. Any other questions, guys? Just a couple of more minutes. Feel free to ask. So the more question you ask, I think you will get a lot of clarity, and you can actually, yeah, have more idea on that. So that will help you to explore more on the AWS side. Sean, when we use AWS, there is no need for SQL database. Like, what do you mean, Sean? Could you elaborate? I can help you to answer your question. Yeah, as I said, for creating a user group and all, only you can do it in manually. Okay, if you try to access through console, that time it will help. But when it comes to connect through programmatically, IAM role will help. That will actually will be more handy with respect to connect to your AWS resources. Now, what's your question, Sean? Are you asking there is no need of SQL database? Is it? Definitely you need database. There is something without database you cannot do any development, right? Regardless AWS or whatever cloud platform you are using, right? You should have some database. But when it comes to AWS, you have an alternate solution, which is DynamoDB. So here you can consider DynamoDB as your database, and you can store all your data there. Okay. What kind of questions can we expect from the AWS? Yeah, Hema Gobich Shetty. This we can actually maybe discuss on tomorrow, because that will be good. I feel maybe I will actually spend some time on that, and we can actually discuss over that. What kind of questions and what are the possible expectation from interviewer, right? So I think that will be make sense, I guess. Instead of today, we can make it tomorrow. Yes. Okay. All right. If no more questions, let me share my screen. So if you look at this, right, agenda day 4. So today we are going to talk some important concept and lab exercise. The first one is Kinesis. This is the live stream reader and writer, and we will be going through what is Kinesis and how you can actually use the Kinesis, okay, for your AWS development. And microservice, this is most likely that agile mindset, right? It's kind of your traditional architecture to microservice architecture. So this is very very important. So please be focused on this so that you can actually start to write microservice for your development, and you can actually enhance your development. And a lot of industries, right, real time companies, they are really expecting this microservice architecture, and who are very familiar with microservice development. Okay, so be noted. So this will be very very important, I would say. And API gateway, yeah, is the front end layer, right, where you can make a request. So how we can actually create a API gateway, and you can call your Lambda, and you can get the response. So this is one end-to-end point, right? So we are going to go through that one. So this will be part of a microservice, and we will be talk more on this. And the last topic would be Route 53. So Route 53 is nothing but a custom domain where your www.com is there, right? www dot some google.com, amazon.com. How that register happen, how that IP address, the naming, right? That the naming converted into IP address. So that is the concept here. They have it in Route 53, and we will be going through on this, and I will show some example also. Okay. Okay. First one, Kinesis. So what is streaming data, right? So it's a data generated continuously by thousands of data source, which typically send in data records simultaneously in small size data. Okay, this is nothing but just I will give you that one simple example, right? Facebook Live. So I think most of you might have done, or most of you might have participated at least, right? Facebook Live. So the moment you start Facebook Live, what happened? The data, right? The data or the audience, people who are joining or who are participating, will keep on scrolling, right? It's rolling the data, and they can keep on messaging, and the data will keep going on. So what is happening behind the scene? So with this kind of streaming, live stream data, right? So you need to capture those data and send to that another system. That system will capture those data and process accordingly. But this is mainly used for analytical and research. Okay, there are financial institute, right? There are a lot of research will be going on, and moreover, the retail also will be going on. One of the example I can say, you have, let's say you have a supermarket, or you visited supermarket, right, in any of the city nearby your place. So if you go there, and you will find a lot of products, right, and they will be showing in that some section. So you find some of the section where you can see that popular products, right, and some product will may not be popular. So how that retailers are actually finding those popular product based on the sales, right, sales and revenue. So these are all completely automated. Okay, so but when we look at the user, right, you may know, hey, for example, Coca-Cola is there. Coca-Cola is a famous product, but near to Coca-Cola, right, they will not put one more popular product where there will be a competition. So what they will put near Coca-Cola, they will put non-popular product, which is XYZ some product. Okay, so this is how they will manage. But finding the popular product and other products, how they will know? Based on the sales and revenue, right? So this everything will not happen manually, because retail store, what they will do, they will actually handle the customer service, and they can actually deliver the products, right? So that's what they will do. They cannot do more than that. So the complete behind the scene, they will collect the daily data and send to this some, there is some company, intermediate company, who is doing this analytical things and all. That company XYZ, some company, right? They will be actually using this kind of tool, Kinesis, Apache Kafka. These are all tools, alternate tools are there. By using this, they can do these analytical things, and they can very quickly come to the conclusion by grouping based on the sales and the revenues, and they will actually generate the report and send to the shop, retail shop. So retail shop will receive that report, and they will actually arrange the product accordingly. Okay, so this is the real-time example I am giving you. Actually, this you can easily connect, right, with your real-time world. That's what I'm giving this example. So this is the exact concept this Kinesis reader is doing with respect to AWS. But there are some company, they don't use AWS one. For that, they will use that popular. Another popular one is Apache Kafka. I don't know, many of you may know or may not be knowing, but Apache Kafka is the alternate solution for Kinesis. It's a real-time uh, streaming. Okay. So what are all the places they are using, right? These Kinesis. You see here, financial transaction. Yes. So where and all, it's completely dynamically going, right? It's a, some transaction will go like a very crazy, right? It will go like a spike, will go like anything, and comes down at all the time. That is example of stock prices. Okay, if any of you do trading, right, you definitely should be knowing this about the stock price, right? So you may see that 10:05 a.m. you may see that the stock price may go all the way up, 10:06 all the way down also possible, right? So this kind of data will keep going, and very aggressively this data will be streaming, right, on the online. So for those things, we cannot handle like a small scale database and all, because database will not actually afford to read this much real-time streaming. So for that, they are designing such kind of this tool, which is Kinesis. Okay. Another one is gaming. Yeah, gaming also another complex one, right? It will deal with a lot of data behind the scene, and it will actually need to handle. And social media feeds, exactly. So the Facebook live I said, right, this is the example. And another one is, yes, location tracking data. So this one definitely everybody should be knowing, right? Whenever you book a taxi, you book a Ola, right? Let's say you want to book a Ola, then you need to see that current location and where you are going, destination, right? So how it is being tracked using the location tracking GPS one. So that GPS, with the help of Kinesis, they can actually capture those data and send to that particular company. They will actually do this analytics, everything, and which area most of the people going, so that they will actually raise the price. So there are a lot of things are going. You may see there are some areas, some places you will not find the taxi or find the car, because why? Why is it? They already find the pattern. This particular area, lot of people are heading, right? So a lot of people are going there, heading there. So they will slowly increase in their price because more demand is there. So where it is more demand, they will increase. So this entire logic, everything, how it happens with the help of this analytical tool only. Okay, real time streaming. Yeah, so database, it's completely isolated. So Kinesis is not like a database at all, Prabhakar. Okay, this is completely isolated, only dealing with real-time streaming data. That's what I'm giving this much list of examples. You can easily connect right now. So database, it's a simple and calm, and you want to persist the data and retrieve whenever you need. Okay, so that's the general purpose we use. This is altogether different way. Yeah, location tracking and IoT sensor. Internet of things, IoT means, right? So this will do like if you are doing mobile app developer, right? They should be knowing this IoT. What they will do, it's kind of trigger mechanism, right? Whenever I open the door, automatically my fridge will on, or my whenever I close the door, my fridge will get off, just to save the electricity. This is one of the example I'm giving. So how it happens, right? So through mobile data, you can have a chip and you can have a sensor over there, like near to fridge or something, the refrigerator. And whenever the window close, right, you can search to can just to operate your mobile from mobile. It will automatically that will get switched off or switched on. So these are simple example, right? So for this kind of sensor things also, this live stream will help. And clickstream data is another dashboard kind of things which will handle lot of traffic where the more traffic happen, right? So there it will collect all the data and showing as a dashboard, clickstream data. Okay. So some of the companies are using this clickstream data for their generating the report. On log files, when I say here log file means not normal log files, right? So let's say you are building an application or you are building a website, you want to deploy your application in the online, right? In the cloud or cloud, online or cloud, both are same. If you deploy them on the cloud, it's okay. You don't need this kinesis and all. So these logs, nothing but very complex kind of logs. Okay. For those, I think kinesis will help. Okay. Any question here? Okay. So this is the diagram I have put for your reference. So you see here, okay, question. Yeah, yeah. So this is how this will, that's what, this architecture diagram, I will explain. So how we can configure, actually usually see producer will be there and consumer will be there. Okay. In the real time, how it happens, see producer, there are IoT who is actually developing and laptop. Laptop means web application. They are using that laptop, right? And mobile app, and this one like Lambda or any AWS. So these guys will be processing some data, right? So for that, these from these producer, they will accumulate lot of data and send to Kinesis stream. Okay, so you see here from 1 2 3 4 places, from 4 different places, all the data is coming over to Kinesis stream. See here, so this is one box. It's kind of configuration only. Okay, here it will come. From here, consumer will subscribe. Let's say this consumer will subscribe, hey, if any data related to this Lambda, this only is Lambda, then I should actually able to get the data. Okay, like that, whichever consumer will subscribe according to their producer, right? We have a moniker, we call moniker in technical term. So let's say Lambda here, Lambda A is a moniker one. This one tablet, right? Mobile app developer. For them, like they will like mobile A, and laptop just to take a lab A, and IoT A. Okay. So this type of moniker, these whoever wants to consume, they have to subscribe. Then only they should be able to get the right data. Because here, if you see here, you cannot differentiate any of the data because all the data will be available here. This Kinesis will look up that moniker which is comes from consumer. Hey, this, okay, I'm having this, I'm getting this moniker from this particular consumer, then I should provide the data for them. So what they will do, before they will not, but when it comes here, it will be raw data thing. Here it is raw data. When it is going to consumer, this will be completely processed data, processed thing. That's the engine. Here it happens here within the Kinesis stream, this will handle. Okay, so consumer point, they don't need to anything. All they need to do, they need to subscribe and receive the data with the processing. Okay, once they get everything right, they can put it in that any, these are all like a persistence. You see here, they can put it in S3 for storage, DynamoDB another database, EMR is there, Redshift. These are all alternates. They can put those data, and they can refer them for their development. So usually what happen, analytical teams would be the consumer. Okay, in real time example company, if you go for any company, right, industry, analytical teams will be the consumer, and because for them only they need like analytical data, right? So with the help of Kinesis, they will be able to do this processing and everything, and they can put them in any of the database. Okay, so it's very easy. That's what, otherwise before how it was happened, right? Whatever that Kinesis is doing right now, that everything these guys has to manually do, that will require lot of development effort, as well as there are, because human error always happen. Okay, that is inevitable, right? So in that case, definitely they may miss some of the pattern for their analyticals, and they will miss some test cases also. So with the help of this, they are saying 99% they can actually complete their analytical processing. Okay, so when it comes to interview things, right? So why I'm putting this one, definitely if they ask for advanced concept, if they ask, right, this Kinesis and all, then you should be ready to tell. Okay, that's what I am sharing with you. Otherwise, for normal development, definitely they will not ask this Kinesis and all. This is only for, that's what I was explaining, right, where it is used to real time and how company is using and what is it for. Okay, any question? Okay, no question. Fine. Next one, microservice. So here I need some help, guys, because this is going to be, I'm going to change your development practice. Okay, so that's what I need some help, you guys, so that I can actually uh, explain you. Okay, so how do you actually do your development so far? How your the whatever the project you are building, right? How are you building your front end layer, back end layer? How are you doing that? Do you share any architecture, anything, or how?
நீங்க என்ன களவாணித்தனம் பாக்குறான்னு பாக்குறோம். அப்பாவும் போயிட்டாரா? அப்பாவும் போயிட்டாரா? அண்ணன்
Okay, so far nobody.
அண்ணன் போலியா?
Can I assume that? If you say wrong person, okay, don't be shy, guys. Try to tell so that I can help you. Sorry, who is that actually? Nikhil, can you mute? Nikhil?
இப்போ இந்த ராணி கட்டிட்டு போலியா? ராணி கட்டிட்டு போலியா? நாளைக்கு போறோம்.
No, that's okay. Visual code, any editor, okay. How are you writing your front and back end? How do you communicate between these two? That is where I'm more interested. Build front end part with React, back end with Node. Yeah, how are you communicating? So my question about the communication only, Prabhakar, Shyam, just to help me to understand, how are you communicating? Let's say front end is there, you have a button, right? If you are not comfortable, you can talk to me also, no problem. Button is there. When you click on, let's say, on that button, how do you call your backend? Yes, using API, right? So how are you? Yeah, right. Yeah. So that REST API, how do you actually define that REST API? So you all know that how do you define that REST API? Okay, can I by routes? Okay. Okay. So I can assume that you all know already that how to build that REST API, right? And can how to call? Yeah, you build API, but how do you deploy your API? Your API only can you deploy your API? No, I'm telling that. Did you deploy your API itself or only in your Heroku or Netlify anything? Have you done like this? Or all the code will be in one place and you are deploying together? Okay, no, the entire code. Okay, good. Okay, so all the time you guys are deploying entire code. Am I right? Okay. Okay, great guys. Yeah. Sorry, just to know about that. Okay, so because just to get the context so that it's easy for me to explain with that. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So now you know that at least that front end layer, backend and everything, right? So see here, microservice, it's a slightly what I'm saying, it's going to be same only, but it just I'm going to change your the way of development, right? The way of development and deployment, how you are doing today. And you can just to listen me what I'm saying, then you can actually let me know if any question. Okay. So see here in the monolithic way only you guys are doing correctly. Okay, that's what I can understand. So what happened or what is the disadvantage of having the monolithic architecture? if you look at this one, right? If you look at this burger kind, right? So what happens this one? So they designed and they implemented and the recipe, everything added, and it's ready for delivery, right? They are delivering this one to yeah, waffles, yes. So they are delivering to customer, correct? So what happened to this, the whole recipe, what happened? If you want to change this recipe, what will happen? Can you change? If I would like to change, because this is the design, right, they have. So now I want to change this design, basically the whole recipe, right? Whatever that the ingredients they added, everything they have done. But if I want to change, or if I want to add few more flavors, right? So these waffle flavors, I want to add few more. It's kind of more recipe, right? So can we do that? Or if I do, what will happen? Exactly, right? Yeah. So this is how our monolithic way, and that entire our hybrid, so-called we say hybrid, and yes, it will taste different. Exactly, and need to change everything. Okay, so what happened if you need to change everything? So whatever investment your company they have invested, right, already everything will be gone. They have to reinvest again. That's the one thing. Redo everything, yes. So what happened by doing redo? Your whole development effort gone, correct? Yes. And what happen if you try to do the same thing with them, with the same recipe? Your taste will be different, which doesn't make sense, right? You will become messy. Okay. Yeah. So what happens? So these are all disadvantages basically, right? So we cannot make it bigger, difficult to change. One big thing, because one big chunk, you are actually putting everything together and deploying, right? And if you want to deploy, if you want to make one change, also what you need to do, you need to you need to deploy entire things, correct? Think like your current deployment only. I have only cosmetic change, I want to make one cosmetic change because my customer complaining on UI bug, and is complaining. So what happens? I'm coming to you because you are the developer, right? Hey, can you please make that cosmetic change and quickly deploy, because customer is waiting. This is a requirement, right? The real time I'm saying. So what you will do? You know everything because you are the developer. You know code very familiar, everything you know. But you can make the change. But at the same time, you go to redo your deployment, right? So that is overhead actually. Every time it's a kind of, you need to ensure that every time your integration testing, your regression testing, everything should be run, because impact also you need to see. So in real time, you cannot simply make the change and deployment will be done. It cannot happen like that. Lot of testing should be done before make your deployment on production. Okay, so this one you should be very careful. And once your development everything done and testing everything done and QA quality assurance sign off should be there, and UAT they call, it's a business stakeholders who is actually doing your testing. These entire things will happen just because of you are making small cosmetic change, right? So this is the classic example of monolithic approach. Why nowadays the big industries like Uber, Facebook, and all, right? They are completely 100%. They are already uh, moving away from monolithic to microservice architecture. Okay, Amazon also. That's what when you go for interview anything, right? So don't present with this kind of architecture. I would highly recommend to change your development or whatever that whatever things you are doing, right? So your mindset should be changed to microservice architecture way, everything. Okay, so from there actually you can easily connect. So that's the idea. Now I was actually asking you guys. Now you know, right? Why I am saying this. Okay, now coming back to microservice. So see here, it's a small piece of chunk code. Okay, you see here, these two puzzle, if you want to solve, right, let's say, so two pieces are there. If I take these and these piece, so just I want to connect the right piece to plugin so that I can actually integrate together and I can deploy, right? All I need to do, similar like that, I will have a multiple microservices. Let's say if you have a 10 lines of code, keep it one service. That's okay. So as much possible, whatever code you are written, right? Maybe 10 lines, 20 lines, please make one service available. That's all. Another 10 lines or 20 lines, make another service. So number of service doesn't matter. As long as you have more service, you will have more comfortable in your development and it's very faster also. This is called, we are we are actually calling agile mindset, right? Because nowadays what happened, customer keep on telling that requirement every day. So in the earlier days, waterfall model they are following, like first requirement will come from customer and the analysis will be done, implementation, deliver, testing, ever done. After that, very rare to change that requirement and they will do. So that's what that earlier approach and monolithic everything it was there, makes sense also. I would agree, but now the complete trend got changed, because now customer actually asking these feedback, right, from their people, from the people, and they are coming to us and coming with the requirements. So at least I would say every 2 weeks once the requirements will keep change and enhancement will keep adding. That is how that real time all of the industries already started doing this agile based development. Okay, so we will actually run that scrum master, everything will be there, and every 2 weeks we will have a deployment, and whatever the changes are there keep on going on. It's completely automated CI/CD with the microservice architecture. Okay, so this is how current industry development completely will be going on. Okay, so the definition of microservice now, if you look at small, loosely coupled, distributed service, right? It's very small. That's what I told, that 10 lines, 20 lines, make it one service. Loosely coupled. It's kind of black in, black out, right? You black in and black out. If you black in, write microservice with your another service, you will have an integration code and you can communicate each other, right? So that's very easy. And it can also be distributed, because see, these two services you are making, right? And you also making the service not only for your project, you have another team. Let's say your company has a 5 teams, right? You are the developer and you are working one of the team, right? You are working one of the team. There is another developer which is part of another team. He also wants to use your code, right? It is happening. It will happen, because you are making the microservice which is a generic way. Maybe that person also need the same functionality which is another team, right? That guy directly can call your microservice and plug in. Okay, so that is how the standardized for development should be. So don't stick with your particular feature, sorry, particular your project, and particular only used to for uh, only used to for your teams, right? Not only your team, it should be generic for all teams. That's the idea we are actually trying to say here. Lawrence, just like splitting every object into components in React front end, we are going to splitting service in, yes, backend service, everything you want to split it. Yes, so that's exactly I'm telling. So now your backend code is there, right, Lawrence? What I do, go and break it down with a meaningful way. Okay, and keep it multiple microservice available. Everything, let's deploy everything. Tomorrow, if one of the change that happened, right, you only going to make the change on that service only. You have 5 microservice available. One service happen means one service only will be affected, right? You are going to touch one service. Still that 4 more service will be there. So no regression testing, no other redo work. Everything will be all right, right? That is one thing. I will tell you some more example. And collection of microservice can be regarded as a system. Yes. So the collection of microservices, what we are saying, 5 microservices I am saying, right? If you put together all five microservices, it will actually consider as a one system. Means consider as a one whole application. Okay, that's the idea we are actually telling. So microservice architecture is very, very important when it comes to full stack development, anything, especially this uh, cloud platform, right? Whichever company is using. But I would say nowadays almost all companies are started using microservice. So there is no more hybrid based application or monolithic. Monolithic completely gone. It's get rid of this monolithic. Any questions, guys? AWS, yeah, one Lambda. I'm going to show you Sangeeta. Each microservice you will deploy in Lambda, that will be easily available. Whenever you need, you can plug in. I'm going to show you. I'm going to write and show you. See how cool it is. You guys are following me, right? So I'm just to helping to understand. But this is very, very important. It's kind of, I would say, it's a mindset change, right? So how you are actually thinking. Prabhakar, okay. Can make change individually to each microservice without it? Yes, yes. That's right. So I'm missing something. Manas Kumar, okay. Kind of placing the code on different file like server routing, database connection code. Yeah, database connection code, you can keep it one service. Yes. Routing, you can keep it one service. Yes, you can do like that. Yep, exactly. You got it right. So multiple APIs we are going to make and deploy over there. So from front end, just we will call that endpoint. We call endpoint REST API endpoint. Tomorrow, that feature they don't want, just to plug out that endpoint, put another endpoint. That's all. Still, your front end will be same. You don't need to make any change. Got it? Okay, cool. Okay, so guys, so you don't forget and please be practice on this, right? It is very easy, right? So don't think theoretically you are saying no, nothing. I will show you, then you will actually automatically see that it's very easy for your development and it's good for your future endeavor wherever you are going. Okay, yeah. No, no, no. Banger. Actually, microservice Node.js just a language, right? It's a script. Microservice, it's kind of architecture. So don't confuse microservice with Node.js. We are actually developing microservice using any of the languages. It doesn't matter you use Node.js, Java, Golang, whatever language you know, right? So that doesn't matter because Node.js is just a script language. So here I'm microservice development, I'm using Node. Maybe other person, maybe he is using Java for the same microservice. Got it, Prabhakar? Okay. See here, this is the architecture I'm actually showing. So now you know, right? Client is there. One API gateway is there. This API gateway, we have a services. So here I'm having multiple services are there. These multiple services can talk each other using the orchestration. Okay, DevOps guys will be there. He is the one managing. That's what I put here, DevOps. Yes, service refer to API, correct. One service means one API. Okay, so this is how we can actually easily connect, and we can it's very simple. See, architecture also not very complex, right? If you know the concept, that's all. You are good, you can actually do it. Okay, guys. So this API gateway, I will show you how to create and how to call that microservice, which is a Lambda, right? Lambda I'm deploying in one service, and from API gateway you make a request. That request will go and hit Lambda and come back to response. So what are the benefits here? Yeah, I'm going to use that pre-template one, and we'll write a sample one, Lambda. Then we can actually call from the API gateway. So benefits you see here, serviceability, flexibility, scalability. So these are all actually microservice benefits. So we have talked a lot, right? Serviceability, easy to fix problem, yes. Easy to make change, easy to scale. See, everything. These are very important. That's what these are key benefits we can get out of the microservice. Easy to fix problem because of the serviceability. Each service and each API, we have a we have one this one, right? API call. So for that, we can actually make a code change easily, basically, and fix the problem. Easy to scale also, yes. So tomorrow, if you want to have any enhancement, right? If you want to do that feature, you want to add some additional feature, so you can easily scale your existing service or existing API. Elastic Container, ECS. Okay, before that, I'm just showing you. Okay, all right. See here again, this is the region. You all remember, right? So when once you log into this AWS console, you can find regions over here. And if you look at here, all the services will be available, right? And let's go to Lambda. Lambda, right? So Lambda is, no, we will do scratch. Okay. So here we'll do my first micro service, right? So this is the first service. And if you see here, right, for this microservice, I'm using Node.js. So that's a say runtime. I'm choosing which language. So whichever language you can choose. So it doesn't mean I have to choose Node.js only for microservice. Not like that. You can choose anything. So this is the one, right? See, body 200. Already this is sample one. Just I put first service. Sorry, this is JSON. Come here and put it. Yeah. So here just to we don't have any input param. Just you hit that deploy. And be sure this is a handler. Handler here is very important. You need to mention here, right? Test it. Yeah, you see here, follow from Lambda. So how do you monitor this? This is running right now. Go here, CloudWatch. That's the monitoring tool, right? Just to recollect whatever we discussed. CloudWatch. Log groups. This here, first microservice sound, right? This is the Lambda we create, correct? See here, first microservice. So it's a Lambda, and we can find the logs. Console.log we put, right? That one we can see here. See, this is how you can troubleshoot your Lambda, your API, basically. API service, okay, everything same. Don't be confused. See here, CloudWatch also available now, correct? So now our backend code is ready, correct? This is our backend code. This is perfect. We are done. Now we have to make a request. So how do you make a request? Directly we cannot call backend, right? So how we used to call? See here. This is my one API service, microservice. So this is the endpoint I have. By using this endpoint, I will make a request by click on send button. Similar like that, we are going to make. So how this response everything coming? Behind the scene, this API will call backend Lambda. Lambda will process and send the response. Got it? Similar like that. Now we go to API gateway. Oh, sorry. Hey. Click on API. Okay. Here API gateway. API gateway. Okay, you see here. Once you click on API gateway, see Amazon API gateway, right? So if you look at here, there are many types are there API gateway type. HTTP API, REST API, private, and WebSocket. Usually REST API only, right? So whatever here we are making, this is a REST API. So even you guys also making REST API only. Similar way, you can actually use this. Just to click REST API, build. Okay. So this is the first API, right? So this will ask you to choose that inbuilt Swagger. If you have the document, otherwise you can just leave it. So REST API is there. See here, REST only, WebSocket no need. Example they are giving REST API, but we will do scratch. New API, okay? We will do new API. Here, give API name. Just to say my first microservice. Service API, okay? API name is my first microservice API. So this is my first. Here you can give something microservice development. You see here by default you can put regional because we are already in one of the region, right? So always make it like a regional because edge location we don't need. Okay, so when our Lambda and API gateway everything will be available in region based only. So keep it in regional way and create. You see your button create API. That's all right. So this wizard come up. So once everything done, just click on here, create method. So create method here, there are a lot of methods available. You see here, get post. So this is nothing but you look at here, this one, this is the methods. This will come. So you can choose here. So I'm going to choose get, yes, get call I want to make. Yes, I'm going to pull some information for that get call. Let's say you accept some request, let's say sir form and all, right? Let's employee form and all, they'll fill the information and submit button, for example. For that you have to put post operation because you are writing something into database. For that post call, for my case I'm just making the request to get the information. For that get call. Okay, good. So now we choose get method. Do you see here integration type? Yeah. So what this API should integrate? I want to integrate this API with backend Lambda. That's what I'm putting Lambda. Okay. And which region? US East one only. So Lambda, it is asking where it is. You see here US East one. This one. Let's say my Lambda will be available to see this Lambda. It's a US East one. That's why I'm choosing. Let's say my Lambda will be available in Oregon or right or US West 2. Then I need to choose US West 2 here. So corresponding region where your Lambda is residing, you can actually choose basically. And click here. What is the Lambda function? Copy this Lambda function, right? This is the Lambda function. That's all. So we'll give that Lambda function name. What is our backend code? Is the save. So you are able to give API permission. Yes. So it will ask you, do you need the permission to invoke this API? Basically, okay. This is AWS will be asking. Yes. Say okay. Yeah. See, this is the work. This is a workflow, right? The life cycle method you see here. So get method we have. First method request comes. After that integration request. This will go to this integration request. So this internally will happen, but workflow you can see. This Lambda will hit. So this Lambda integration will hit the backend Lambda, which is my first microservice. There it will go. It will process everything. Come back to this integration response and method response. So client will receive the response here. This is the client. Got it? Yeah. That's all right. So now we are going to deploy. So don't forget to deploy. See, since this is locally available, right? Locally available. You want to publish this to this outside world, you need to deploy. So deploy API here. So here, deploy new stage means basically the stage nothing but dev stage something. So development, right? Your development environment. I say development. This also you can say development. Dev environment, right? So deploy here. That's all. See, it's a development. It's deployed already, and this one. So this is the URL. Just to click on that. See, this is a response. Copy this. Response 200. Hello from Lambda. See here Lambda. This is our response, right? JSON return. Now this one you can, if you have a Postman, right? This is for API testing tool. It's easy. If anybody using, fine. Otherwise, you can find it this one Postman. So here you can test your API easily instead of browser, right? API testing and all you can do browser. Send. Yeah. See here. So here 200. Okay. Everything you can see the traffic. See it took 1619 milliseconds. You can see the response time also. How much time takes your request going to Lambda, your backend, and coming back, and this request. So this response basically your front end, right? If you have a front end will receive, and front end on the front end it will show this hello from the Lambda or whatever. So our API is ready. Like that only I'm saying small chunk of code, right? You can make it different microservice and keep it available. Okay. Yeah, if you use, then you can actually make use of this. See, this is the endpoint. So this endpoint, you can keep it. Similar like that, you can actually do like this, right? This is one point now have. Like that, you make it, let's say 5 microservice means similar like that, I'm telling. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Okay. So for example, your front end, right? Front end, you have a form, right? Your front end application, you have a form, some username, and the employee details, something I'm giving. Employee salary, something. Okay, here you have a button. Add button is there, and delete button is there. Delete, update, like that is there. So what I'm saying, for each button you can supply one thing. So this button, when you call right on the event, you can pass this, supply this. That's all. This button delete, you can put this and point. Update this endpoint. Tomorrow they don't want to update, right? Let's say they don't want to update it tomorrow because due to some reason they don't want to update. They want to insert. Let's say insert, right? So only you will change in the front end just to label change, and back end you will remove this update one. You have already available insert one, right? In that case, so you take that just to plug in here instead of update. How cool it is. Makes sense, guys? So this is how the development should do actually. Any questions? Clear, all clear? Good. Okay. So this is complete AWS development only, right? Because somebody asked, right? Only deployment only we are doing. Now you see here, complete development we are doing in AWS only. Oh, what is a free trial? Sorry, I don't know. Free trial, what is it? Is it the open source tool? Oh, free plan. Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, you can do it. That's what I was telling, right? Lambda API gateway and all, you can do it. Go to your console, whatever I have done, right? Similar way fashion, you can actually do it. Feel free to do it because Lambda, they are giving 1 million requests. So go for it. Play around. Okay, guys, let me then delete this because that's what you see here. Once I use, right, I will delete. So that's the habit you also should have, so that you, at least you can actually avoid to pay some of things. So I will be deleting this, my API, my Lambda also, right? Okay, then this one, yeah, elastic container. Yeah, next one is elastic container. So ECS we call. It's a container based. It's a little more advanced one, but you can just to get to know that. So what are containers? So this is kind of virtual machine, more like virtual operating system. Okay. Uh, so VMware, most of them used, right? So it's kind of one more level of VMware. Okay. So this is a typical example, right? So container basically they will put dump everything into one container and they move from one place to another place. Everything can be done, Prabhakar. So EC2, just for example, I was showing. Lambda also you can create using CloudFormation. API gateway you can do it. All resource can be done using your CloudFormation. Microservice application are creating using independent, yes, stateless component, right? So that's the microservice, you know already. Standardize, it's everything software needs to run, library, system tool, code run, runtime. Yes. So within a container, this will contain basically everything to run your code. What are the supporting files, right? It will have everything. Docker or Windows container. So you can create a, Linux container, Windows container for Windows overflow. So if you have a Windows operating system, you use Windows container. Okay. So that is called this Elastic Container Service, just to deploy your code. You see here Docker containerization. So container here, the typical container you see here, code, library, kernel, everything will be there. And operating system. Operating system is the one is underneath you will find here. On top of operating system, Docker will run. Basically, you will run your Docker on your Windows operating system. Let's say Windows means you will install Docker on your Windows machine. Okay. Then you can run the Docker image on these three containers basically. One, two, three. Basically, three copies of code you will be running in three different containers using the Docker. Okay. So Docker itself is the container. How you can run your Docker container. So tomorrow I have a one more labs exercise. I will show you how you can create a Docker file and you can deploy your code. Okay. So it's for moving the code for advantage of Docker container mainly. You don't need to make any of the change. Let's say today you have a Windows and you are running your container. Okay. Tomorrow you are upgrading your operating system, Windows to Linux. That time you don't need to make any change on your container. Just to take the container, okay, and put it in your Linux machine without making any code, right? The same container code will be running on Linux machine. That's the advantage of Docker container. Okay, across platform, this will be running. Okay. Docker contain, yeah, multiple app if needed to deploy in single server. Container, yes, yeah, multiple app if they want to deploy, right, then you will have a multiple container, put it in them, and you can actually run. That's the use case. Pramod. Could you please repeat again the purpose of, yeah, so Docker container is nothing but you have a code and you want to run your code on machine, right, in the real-time world. You have our Windows operating system. What happen, you are moving your code to, or you are going to upgrade your operating system to Linux. Will you be run the same code in your Linux system? You might definitely, you have to make some change according to your operating system, correct, because that Windows and Linux will be entirely changed. To avoid this kind of things, we will keep it everything in the Docker container. These are cross platform things, cross platform support, which can be executed on the guest operating system, not based on the native operating system. So when I say native operating system means Linux, Windows is your native operating system. But like Docker will not run on the native operating system. Docker itself will have that native operating system on the each container. Okay, so that it will not be disturbed regardless of operating system, whatever you are changing. No worry at all. You can keep running your code. Yep. So how you are writing the Docker and how you are running the container, then I will show you that example. Okay. What is ECS? Yes, Docker has its own kernel and guest operating system. That's the very important. Docker will not run on native operating system. That's the point. If it runs on the native operating system, right, then again it will end up with the same thing. So ECS container, when it comes to this one, right, this supports Docker and Windows container, right? So this can be quickly deploy, scale containerization. Yes. So you see here, whatever we just now we discussed, right? You can just install, configure, manage, and scale your organization platform. So everything can be done using the ECS container based. But when it comes to orchestration, right? Let's say you want to make a communication between your containers. So this Kubernetes is the one good feature. This will help you to communicate between the containers. Okay, so it will actually do the orchestration work and all, basically. Okay. So API gateway, yes. So API gateway coming back. API stand for application program interface. So as we already seen that example, right? Now you can see that same travel website. Now all of the website, okay, this microservice architecture only you see here. This website have lot of components. One is hotel booking, this sightseeing, and the traveling, flight booking, everything is there. Each feature will go one. This arrow mark is there, right? These are all one microservice, going and coming, going and coming. Tomorrow, due to some reason, they want to shut down any of the things. Let's say they want to shut down this hotel booking because they are not getting much profit, right? Just they will disconnect only this call, or they want to replace this hotel booking with some other booking. They can have additional call, but still this will be there. See, the beauty is still the front end layer, everything will be there. They don't need to touch at all, right? So that is how this microservice architecture will help. So this is a classic example I'm just putting because you also should be knowing most of the website development which you are seeing browsing, right, already completely developed in microservice, or whatever the monolithic way they have, right, already migrated also to microservice architecture. Yeah. So what is API gateway? So this is a publish, maintain, monitor API. So this my API gateway is a service which allow you to publish, maintain, monitor, secure API at any scale. So this is the one I'm saying. So this is the one, right? So this is one API gateway. how I am calling. See, when I send this will go to one Lambda, which is the backend, and Lambda will connect to database. Here I am using that Heroku. It will get the data from Heroku and pull all the information here. Moreover, at the front end, right, front end will filter very few fields only. Front end need not to show all the fields, all the JSON fields, correct? Let's say 100 fields here I am showing. API is returning, but front end wants to show only 10 fields based on the customer feedback or customer requirement. They can show anytime, they can filter out. That is another advantage, right? So they front end side also they need not to make any change. Just a matter of filter out. Tomorrow they may ask to show 10 more fields I want to show to customer. Then you can just to filter those 10 more fields, right? Yeah. So this one we already see the right supported API, RESTful and WebSocket. So most of them we use RESTful only. We don't go for any WebSocket only. Okay. So don't worry. All the time you are going to have RESTful API. Don't forget when you create a RESTful API, now you know, right? Method should be created. Method means get, post, patch, delete. Based on your operation, you will just select. Okay. And yeah, here is the communication. Just we have seen, right, in the lab exercise. So create a API gateway, which is the front end, and that will call EC2 or Lambda, DynamoDB, whatever. So Lambda, you are showing that example. Similar like that, EC2, if you want, you can have a code at a EC2 and you can call. DynamoDB also, you can directly get the code and get it. But mostly for processing, and you will be doing some business logic, right? So for business logic, you cannot directly do it in DynamoDB because just to pulling the data from DynamoDB and go to user, that's fine. Depends on the use case, right? So some use case, most of the use case, you will be doing some business logic. For that case, either you will be doing in Lambda or EC2. Okay, these two will be better option. But first option, always prefer to have Lambda only. Very easy, right? Instead of here, you are creating infrastructure by CloudFormation and all, just you can have single Lambda. It's very easy development. Any question here? Okay. So this one, 53, right? Yeah. Yeah. Before that, I want to show. Yeah, one more thing. Sorry. Here I will show you. Exactly, Prabhakar. Yes, you are right. API, Lambda, DynamoDB. Yeah, this is a common use case. You can actually use it for your development. Hope tomorrow itself, you guys will be changed to AWS development. Hopefully. Yeah. So before that, I would like to show this one, right? This one. So how my microservice. So you see here now, accounts API is there, right? You see here, this is one microservice I have. See this code I have. This is a Node.js code, and I have this Lambda. Uh, how do I know Lambda? Handler is here. As long as handler, definitely Lambda only I'm having. So this code available in Lambda handler. Okay. So this code, what it does, it will get the accounts information and go to Heroku. Heroku is the DB and connect the Heroku, pull the information and show. So I will show this real-time example. Yeah, see here. This is one of the service I have developed. So you see here, this is the accounts and CSN will be the authorization for what call we are doing for authorization. And this is the CSN means it's a unique identification number. This number we will get right, and it will process. It will do some validation, basic validation. Lambda will do, and Lambda will call this number to this guy Heroku. Heroku will search this CSN, get all the data, and Lambda will process again everything and display here. These are real-time accounts information. So this is the API get call. Okay, even some of the call also I have, that is the post call and all that. So I will show, see post call. This is for writing, right? So for that I'm having this post call. When you click send, this will actually write here. For database I'm using Dynamo. Okay. Fine. Now you know that you are good with this one, right? How is the microservice? So last topic, let's pick it up. Okay. Fine. Yeah, Route 53, right? Oh, sorry. Okay. Can you guys hear me now? Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay. So it is an Amazon domain name system, right? So as I said, www.amazon.com. This Amazon is converted into IP address. So how it is converting? The domain name registry will be there, domain name system, and it will go and see that corresponding IP address of the request coming. Okay, Amazon means equivalent Amazon. What is the IP address? So that is how it does, right? The same thing, domain name registry should happen at AWS with the help of Route 53 only. Okay, especially for load balancing and EC2 instance and all, they will keep this Route 53 only, and they will actually configure it. Yeah, I didn't get clearly what is generally ISP. I don't know. You can elaborate actually later. So you see here this architecture actually how it looks like. See, DNS is there and domain name server is there. This is a sample example. Sample this one. Yes, yes, yeah. That's what here I'm showing to you. Internet service provider, right? So DNS server will be there, and these guys will get the request and resolved with the IP address. You see here the next request delegating to client back. These guys will receive that IP address, make a request because this canonical name doesn't understand. Okay, canonical name means it's a alphabetical name doesn't understand, right, by server. So for that, they need to convert this IP address and send the same IP address to the server, web server. Web server now knows that, okay, this is the request coming. Then this will get the request and it will serve and send back the result to client. Okay. Similar one, see, I put it here. Route 53, same thing. It will go there. Route 53 in AWS will see that and resolve IP address resolve and get the IP address, send it again to that particular server. Here the server is EC2 or Lambda, whatever backend you have, right? And it will get the IP address to EC2 and process everything and running all your results, everything, right? Business logic and get the result back to client. Okay. See here, this is Route 53 is highly available, scalable on domain name system web service. Yes. So what are the advantages? It is that so it's extremely reliable and cost effective. Yes. Way to route and use to internal application by translating name. So whatever AWS full development you are doing, right, and you want to register some name, canonical name, or you want to build a website. For that, you can make use of this Route 53 and register some canonical name. Okay, yeah, Route 53 will help you to configure, and actually you can use the website name, or you want to configure anything, you can do it using the Route 53. Yes, similar DNS server, AWS has a own DNS registry. Okay, so this will not connect with another one. No, no, no. Port 53 is no, no. Route 53 is the name they call actually in AWS, but this doesn't mean like a port 53. That's a different. Okay. You can use Route 53 to configure DNS health check to route traffic to health endpoint. Yes, right. And Route 53 independently monitor the health of your application endpoints. Yeah. So you have a lot of endpoints, right? Those endpoints you want to see what is the health check for my request. You can configure it in Route 53 and you can be monitor all the time. Okay. Especially this Route 53 for domain name registry only, right? So especially if you are making any website, you are building any website, you want to configure so that AWS itself offering, why you are going outside, they are asking, right? Because since you are using EC2 server and everything you are using for registry also, why can't you use the AWS instead of going to third party, right? So that's the idea. Okay. Yeah, especially when you deploy app in AWS, right? And you want to register with a new name, for example, abc.com, new name, right? That time, definitely you can make leverage this Route 53. Yes. So this is the one exactly I'm showing it here. You see here, I love cloud. This is a sample name. I want to register. I want to build, right? So this one go to Route 53 and Route 53 will help you to configure and it will delegate to corresponding server, whatever the request going, right? So this will help. Yeah. So this can be launched in EC2 instance install. Yes. Create an application load balancer, configure our EC2 instance as a target. Yes. So here we are using EC2 as the instance as a target. If you want, you can use ECS also as a target. Okay. Just for example, we are giving. And configure Route 53 hosted zone mapper friendly domain name to our application load balancer. So that we can access our website using our own domain name. Yes. See, this is our own domain name. Using this domain name, you can configure this to our application load balancer. That load balancer will internally communicate to server, EC2 server, right? So this is one set of UI front application. If anybody using, right, definitely you can make use Route 53. So how it looks like, I'll show you. Go here, right? So Route 53. See here, hosted zone is there. Registered domain is there, right? So you can create a hosted zone and domain name here, whatever domain name you created, you can actually give that and actually you can delegate that request. So before that, one more thing you want to say, register domain. Yeah, this one you see here, new domain. So if it is, should not be the same, right? Let's say Google, check. See what is the price also they put, but unavailable. See here. With the combination, this will recommend also. For each domain, you can actually you can compare the price also. Okay, outside third party, how much they are giving for your registering your domain, and Route 53 how much it is giving. So 1 year, this is a 1 year cost, by the way. Okay, for 1 year, if you are using this domain, you got to pay this much USD. Okay, very simple, right? So that is the purpose of Route 53. Sorry, can you differentiate EBS versus yeah, EBS with okay. We see Elastic Block Store, right, Prabhakar? So this is most likely attached with your EC2. Let's say if you are deploying your application in EC2, then you want to store your data, right? That time you will create a EBS. Okay, so this EBS is mostly related with EC2 server. Wherever EC2 you are using, EBS will be there, like that thing. S3 altogether isolated, it's a different. For all purpose, generally, right, you can use all your files, you can use all your data and put them in, put it in S3. So S3 for everything you can use is S3, I would say, regardless server or you are using any other, what is that, database, right? Anything you can use S3 for general purposes. DynamoDB is a database, right? So how you are using MongoDB? It's exactly alternate for MongoDB. I would say DynamoDB. So these three different are different purposes. So you cannot actually put together everything. Got it? Yeah. So S3 simple definition is a file storage or data storage. DynamoDB, you can persist your data same like a database. What database can do? EBS, yeah. Yes, S3 also can hold a DB itself, but let's say you want to join the table and get the query. Can you do it in S3? S3 also you can query, but you cannot do multiple join. You want to get the data from different source of table. Can you get it using S3? Cannot, right? Yes. For that you need to depend on DynamoDB. Yeah. So that's the thing. Yep. So you check the price, guys. So don't actually go and just to register. Check the name and see the price and compare, and you can actually go for it. Okay. Any question on Route 53? Yeah. So the slide, whatever I am sharing with you guys, right? This is more than enough for your actually AWS concept for as a beginner. As a beginner, this is more than enough, I would say. So if you go through my slides, that is more than enough. But you need to practice. So whatever I'm sharing, right, there are a lot of topics we have been discussing and I have been showing, right? So you need to actually do practice. Because these are all very simple only, I would say, because it's not like a traditional way of development, right? Because they are making everything simplify. All you need to do, you need to know that, okay, lambda means what lambda is doing, API gateway what is doing, EC2 what can I do with the EC2, S3 what should I do, just to know the concept and get the context, and based on your use case requirement, use them. That is what you need to do. Okay, but your development effort and how to configure everything is available. There are tons of document is out there in the Google or wherever you are searching, right? Okay. the one. That's all. And show. Yeah, I think that's all. This one. So Route 53. Yeah, mostly we cover. Yeah, I would like to tell one more thing here. So this OAuth call, right? So I forgot two things. So you see here, before I make this call, this web service call, right? If you look at this web service call, I make one more call. Before that, I make one more call. See here, OAuth 2. This is nothing but authentication and authorization. What I will do, this authentication mechanism, okay? So this is the algorithm. OAuth means algorithm. I am using for my authorization. What it does, once I send this request, right, OAuth call, this will give me access token here, and it will say this much expiry date. So using this access token, I will actually use my API to call. That's what I'm doing. See here, header, and see here, this is my access token. Session ID is the access token. Okay, so this is how I'm making this. This is very, very important, guys. So you are making API means you need to give more secure, because in the real-time world, they may ask, okay, you are making API, how do you secure your API? This is one of the beautiful question, right? Then you need to say, I will use OAuth call to authorize my API so that outsiders or hackers cannot actually come and access my API. So this is how I am actually more secure and more, I'm giving my API like more secure in that way. Yes, access token, it's nothing but a kind of temporary session ID, right? So this is a temporary session ID. I will be using this and calling. But that session itself, see, only this much time. After that, this will get expired. Then again, I need to make another call, get the session ID and query here. Okay, so this is how I'm actually making. So for API service, definitely you are making this, but you need to mention, always you need to think how you can secure your service. Where security is very, very important as part of our development also. Any vulnerable person trying to access, then what will you do? Right? So that is the problem here. Yes, we used auth by generating token. Yes, okay. You used already. Okay. But what type of authentication you guys are using? May I know? Do you use any algorithm or any tool? Oh, okay, nice. Okay, JWT. Okay. Yeah, JWT is a good one. Okay, you can use this front end, right? Front end, you can use the JWT. From there, you can call. Here we have OAuth because the backend side we have. Front end also we have the Cognito. We have, I think. Cognito. This will be the tool. This also you can use. You can make use of that for front end. See here, manage user pool. Here you can actually configure how many users, and you see here grant user to AWS users. So this is another feature, but you will get confused actually. That's what I'm not going into this. But this is just to know the name, right? Amazon Cognito. So that's what I'm telling. Whatever AWS, whatever development you guys are doing, right? Everything actually can be done using the AWS. You don't need to go anywhere else. Okay. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's all for today's session. I will stop it here. I would like to hear more questions. Another 10 minutes we have. Um, And I want to make sure, guys, I am actually teaching you, telling you like a very limited edition, because I don't want to overload everything to you so that you will get confused. I don't want to do that. That's what, very limited, and you just focus on those things. Make sure those things will be perfectly executed. That's all. Take that feedback form. I can feel free to fill whenever you have time. Any questions? So for interview questions, you have already, for some of the folks who are asking, tomorrow we will talk more about it. Okay, so tomorrow will be the last session, and yeah, I would like to share some of the insights on the interviews so that you can make use of them. How was the today's session effective? Do you get something? Because that's what I was giving more time on, that microservice architecture. Make sure you will get everything, and you can try to, yeah, change your development mindset. Yes, yes, Ahmad, definitely. Tomorrow I will be sharing everything. Any questions? Any doubt, clarification? No doubt so far? Yes, Pravar, yeah. EC2, two-way you can connect. One is instant connect, right? On the console only you can connect. Another one is using SSH, using your command, right? SSH if you use Mac. Otherwise, the steps I was showing, right, from Windows, you have to use your PPK key, and you can do that. Yes, one through console and through another through your command SSH. Yes. No, that's what. See, through console you will not able to do it, because I said, right, since you are the developer, they will not actually in real time. If you go to any industry, right? Company, they will not give you access because only admin can do that access console. So all you need to do programmatically, either you need to connect or through command you can connect. CLI we call AWS CLI, you can use and connect. So console just for free tier, free plan, you can actually use it. But when it comes to real time, you will not able to access. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Any more questions, guys? No more. No more questions. Okay, then thank you everyone. Thanks for joining today. Hope you got some insights. See you all on tomorrow, and we will talk more about other topics, and we will wrap it up. Thank you everyone. Bye. Good night.